This is episode 1 of What's Been Better. Today we're talking about rejection and all the different forms of it, like losing a job or being ghosted by everyone, even potential employers. But we're also going to talk about recovering from rejection and how to be prepared for it if it happens the next time. A heads up to all the moms and the mother-in-laws. We curse a little, so excuse me, baby. All right, let's get into it. All right, you good?
Yes.
All right, so here we go.
Hey.
We have no real format. We're just two Black women just out here talking, just out here trying to figure out what we're gonna do. But we'll just see where it goes at this point. So I'm Sylvia.
And I'm Lori.
And Lori's my therapist. And you all need a therapist that, number one, will tell you exactly how it is, but will also talk to you in a language that you understand. And when I say Lori will tell you exactly how to tell somebody else to kick rocks or do what you need to do, she's that one. So hopefully everybody else finds a therapist like that. Let's think a little bit about me, I guess. So, former educator, turned housewife, turned researcher, turned writer, turned radio host, back to housewife. It's been a tumultuous kind of like pandemic slash, I don't know, just before the pandemic. Now, I can't say that we're post pandemic, but here we are. But that's a little bit about me. What about you?
Well, it's funny how you said turn this, turn that, right? So I was a math teacher, well, actually housewife turned math teacher,
Okay.
turned housewife again, turned English teacher.
Wait, how did you go from both of those?
We're going to talk about that. That's so interesting. But it was a need, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they already had a math teacher. So they needed an English / history / English, history English teacher.
Okay.
So turn that, and then a whole bunch of things, and then follow, just following my dreams, following my heart, getting into the counseling field. And in our conversations, we'll get to that place because there was a journey in that space. But
Sounds like it.
right. So, but actually what's so funny is counseling was always in the background.
Really?
It was always in the background of all those things, all of my life, and didn't even realize it until it came to me a few years ago. But I've been a therapist for now 10 years. So
if you'd have told me that this was what you were doing the whole entire time, I would believe it more, because I just cannot believe that this wasn't like you started doing this, you stopped doing it, you started doing it again. No. But math and English, okay. I thought I was a weirdo. I am chemistry and physics, which do not go together. Everybody's always like, that's biology and chemistry, like those go together. And then math also. So I have to pick your brain about being math and English.
I think it's the quest for knowledge and understanding that we're multifaceted people.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not one thing we can do. And then being a mother, because I've been a mother pretty much all the way through too. As a mother and then a wife too, you end up doing everything.
Right.
And when we say housewife, we do everything.
Yes, even when you don't have kids. So I don't have kids, but have
Right.
still managed to become a housewife, which I appreciate it, love it. Wish that I would have done it sooner.
Yeah,
because I feel like I taught way longer than I should have. So I'm very grateful that I got out of the classroom before the pandemic. I mean, like in the nick of time before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, because bless everybody's heart that is still in the trenches every day dealing with what they're dealing with in the classroom, because there's just, God knew exactly what to do. Because there's just no way.
Right.
No way.
I said that too about having children who are finished with school. Right. Because I couldn't imagine having my children in school during the pandemic.
No.
So a whole new breed of people, teachers, students, parents alike, who are having to navigate through something that is actually mind-blowing, right? And all the trauma that's involved with that. So yeah,
And I think too, a lot of it for me is like teaching what I was teaching. I taught from fifth grade all the way to teachers preparing to become teachers. That's how many different grades and subjects and all types of things that I taught. I cannot imagine having to deal with having to pivot as often as they are having to pivot now.
right.
Because when you're in it, yeah, you got to pivot. Something doesn't work. Your lesson plan goes out the door. You don't, the copy machine's not working, whatever happens that day. But the horror stories that we're hearing now of like people are quitting and then you've got to cover their class. And now you weren't supposed to have more than 20 kids together, but now you have 50. Or today you're in the classroom, tomorrow you are distance learning. It just, I'm not sure that I would have had the structure or the mindset to be able to pivot that hard. But
yeah, imagine what that's doing for them though, from a growth perspective.
yes, I can imagine too that people are getting stronger than they ever believed they could be. But then I also feel like, oh, I wish they didn't have to,
Yeah,
because all of this seems preventable, but that's just me.
that's
So
enough. Oh.
it is. But yeah, I don't know. But
You mentioned something before we got started about rejection.
yes,
What about
yeah.
it?
I so I went through a bunch of rejection in the last month. January was awful. I will not go into the long drawn out story about it, but I had never lost a job before, never not been asked to come back. It had some, like run-ins with people. I'm not going to say I was like perfect and that there was always daisies and glitter, but never have I ever not been able to leave on my own accord when I wanted to leave.
Right.
So to be rejected and ghosted in the same 7 days, the roller coaster that I have been on in the last 7 days has just been like, ah. I think because there's no way to be prepared when you get punched in the face, and unless you've already been punched in the face, and I had never been punched in the face before. So it was a lot of like wallowing, being sad, being upset, feeling hopeless, feeling like I can't do this, realizing that I'm still here, so I better do this, to just finally yesterday coming to a realization of like, okay, I'm fully rejected. I need to pivot now, put this down. Don't necessarily think about it because it's going to re-trigger you some kind of way, and go on to the things that I have options to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess realizing that there are other options. You
Right.
have your health, you have whatever wealth you have, whatever skills you have all these things. Just go to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a long time with me, especially like when I first met you, I didn't know that I had other options.
Right.
I had not done gardening. I hadn't done real editing. I hadn't done like all the things that I have skills to do now,
Mm-hmm.
not back in 2019.
Right.
Absolutely not. So I was grateful that it was over because I didn't want to stay where I was,
Mm-hmm.
but I was harmed in and hurt in like the rejection of like people don't want to be around you anymore, they don't want to work with you anymore, or they don't feel like your work is good enough.
Mm-hmm. And and so for me, I can't help but to go into therapy mode, right? Like, this
Come
is
on.
hell. Well, so we don't know unless they tell us that your work is
Right.
good enough. Like, you don't know that. Now, it looks like that because you got ghosted, but I think the ghosting was from some other place. But
Right. Yeah. So the ghosting was like completely separate of my previous gig in their dissertation email of saying like, we don't like you. we don't want to work with you. We're not offering you another contract, like all of that. The
Well, they
ghosting,
like you.
the ghosting was the devastating part. I think I was fine with the dissertation because, like, yeah, I didn't want to be there anymore. But the ghosting was rough because we started off working really well together. Everything was going fine. What happened? And I just wonder, because those two organizations were connected,
Mhm.
what was their communication between them? Was there something? Because of course my brain goes from like zero to disaster. So
Right. But the thing is, and it's funny how we will say certain things, but does it really mean what it is? Like, so the dissertation, did they come out and say, we don't like you anymore, or, or was it not a good fit kind of thing?
oh no, it wasn't a we're not a good fit. It was a lot of coded language of like, let's just not talk ever again.
Okay.
So which again, I was fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so it was nothing to like remove people from my social media. Thank you. Now we don't have to interact. Things like that. I had already, like done all the standard preparing of like clearing out your company email and, just doing all those things. So I was kind of ready,
Right.
but I wanted to say myself, I'm leaving, not
Right.
you get to tell me not to come back.
Right.
So the ghosting, though, I had started on something new with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
They said that they liked it. They were like, cool, this writing is great, all these things. I don't know how we wound up being ghosted though.
So define that, because I think as people hear this, right,
Mhm.
ghosting could be a lot of things. What
So,
would you say ghosting is?
so I was freelancing for another news outlet and got an assignment to do that would have been due yesterday. And so I would have had a week to work on it. So got the assignment, literally worked on it within like 24 hours. The group of editors started editing it and then they just stopped.
And how do you know they stopped?
Oh, because on a technical terms, if you edit like through Google Docs, you can see
Oh,
everybody's edits in real time.
okay.
So I stopped getting any kind of alerts, any kind of updates, anything. So I think I waited until, so that was Friday. I didn't do anything Saturday or Sunday because I thought, it's the weekend. Monday came and I was like, well, I'll just see. I'll just see. I went in and kind of tried to see, like, maybe I need to tweak something else. Nothing. Tuesday, I started getting that like panic mode because I just am a panicker. So I called the person that gave me the assignment, but they didn't answer. So I left a voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
I heard nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I put another alert in the doc to say, hey, this is done. Not sure if you got it. Nothing. So
Okay. Is it
Wednesday
like,
came,
mm,
Thursday came,
okay.
nothing.
Is it like them to, you respond to them, they respond back? Like, what's their turnaround time?
I don't know. I had never worked with these people before.
Okay. So you never talked to them?
No, I talked to them to get the assignment and I talked to them when we were initially editing.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard from them again.
Wow.
Right. And I have never seen this before, like in a working situation.
Mm-hmm.
People get ghosted in dates and they get
Mm-hmm.
ghosted by their friends who are busy or, whatever. But I had never been in a work situation where it's like, here's this assignment, do this work. Never mind, we're never going to talk to you again.
Right. And so then I go into assessment mode.
Well, I went into, oh no, no one likes me mode. Oh no, the old gig started talking to the new gig. This is why they're ghosting me type of situation. So,
And of course, now, so understand too, yeah, that would make sense, especially
mhm,
if one gig knew the other one.
yeah,
Like, and they could have given some information that has not been good. And so that puts you in a bad light. But while you still in a not knowing position, you don't necessarily know what happened. However, they stop and they don't respond to your messages. To me, it goes back to, where did you learn communication?
To me, it was one of those moments of clarity of maybe you didn't want to be doing business with these people if this is how they work. Um, but for me, the challenge in all of it is I can take rejection.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously can take rejection because this whole month I survived. I survived January. I can take rejection.
Right.
What I cannot do is take a lack of communication. I need you to tell me that you're rejecting me. I need you to tell me that you like me, hate me, whatever it is, kick rocks, however, you have to say the words some type of way. So it was very traumatic to be ghosted because I was like,
And up
man.
now, right? Today is Friday, right? So it's you hadn't heard anything.
Still nothing.
Right.
Still nothing.
So then this is the question, right? And I think this is for everybody. How do you deal with a person who doesn't want to communicate with you the way you want to be communicated with? Right? Because that's the whole point. You wanted to be communicated with in a way. You wanted to hear verbally, perhaps, maybe even written.
Right.
We have left the building. Like our friendship is over, or
something.
Right.
This work is garbage. Oh, we don't want to run this article anymore. Oh, we've changed our mind. Or, oh, we need to extend this, or we need to push it back. I don't care. Tell me something. So I had to realize that like maybe the ghosting is their way of doing that, but it's a strange way for like, that's a strange business practice.
Right. Well, guess what? Everything we do comes back. Everything. So if that's how they do it, and they don't perhaps like it to be done to them, it's gonna happen. Meanwhile, our focus, I think for us, we'll just have to shift back to, for us, how do we deal when people don't communicate the way we will prefer, right? How did you figure it out for yourself? What'd you do?
Oh, I did it all bad. I was terrible. I already know. I didn't, all of our lessons, all of our sessions, they went out the window. I'm gonna tell you now. The 4 agreements, I was not thinking about any of that. I'm going to be very honest. It was like I had never been in therapy. It was bad. It was very bad. Because you don't know. I had nothing to go on. I had no cues, no prompts, no nothing. It was just like I wasn't even left on red. I don't even know what I was left on.
Right.
So
you were left to think your own thoughts,
which is terrible. Everything that swirls around in this head, it is, no, I didn't need that. I did not.
How'd you put together though? Because you don't seem like you're at your wit's end right now.
I pulled together yesterday when I realized it was like close of business and that it wasn't going to be published or like nothing was going to happen. I put it on a shelf. I literally pushed save, put it in the archive on my computer. And I said, okay, let me go back to, I had made a list in the middle of January when a lot of other bad things were happening. I made a list of options, things that I wanted to do, things that I want to do, things that I hadn't finished. I had made that list. And I went back to the thing on the list that had been standing out the most, that I had already wanted to do. And I said, okay, that's what I need to do next. Let me just put all of this writing and politics and policing and municipalities and all of the stuff that I've been like immersed in the last year and some change, put it away.
Was that your hardest work anyway? Is that what you?
No.
Okay.
No, it was I fell into that. I
Mhm.
fell into it. I think my heart's work is like providing information to people, but also researching really in depth. So I just I was like, okay, what on this list can I do right now? And what on this list is going to take me into the future if
Mm.
there's a future in it?
Right.
So I just couldn't. Yesterday, I was like, I've sat here for almost a week wondering for nothing. Like when I didn't get a response or a call or a text the first day, I was like, I should have been over it then. But I
Now
mean, you
you
don't know how to go faster when you're in it. You don't know how to just like
know,
snap out of it. So,
that is true. That is true.
mhm.
And the same thing that you deal with, I've dealt with, right? Like I'm dealing with it right now. I have people in my family, people really close to me that I'll
Mhm.
send messages to and they won't respond. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? like,
Right. Right. Because that's
like,
all you could do the whole time is like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is this? This can't be it. But I think I think why it was so challenging is because I was asking everyone that am in contact with, that I'm in contact with like daily, my
Mhm,
little core of people that pick up their phone.
mhm.
Um, have you seen this before? Have you heard of this before? And they were all like, I don't understand. Why are they not responding? And I'm like, yo, I don't know. I
What
don't
do they
know.
come up with though? What they say about it?
Um, uh, so everybody had been ghosted before
Mhm.
some way, shape, or form, but no one had been in this exact situation. So that's where it became like okay, this is a weird thing for me. When it's an unprecedented situation, when somebody doesn't have like the exact same example, it is very doom or gloom for me.
Mm.
Because I'm like, oh man, I'm alone. Like no one has the answer. I've got to figure this out by myself. Instead of just thinking like everybody's been ghosted at the surface.
Right. That's the thing. And so, and it just happens to be that you got ghosted in a corporate kind of setting. I don't even know
Right.
that a corporate, it's corporate, mate,
I
right?
mean, it
Business.
whatever a news outlet is categorized as, I don't know.
Well, maybe a business aspect,
Yeah.
right? Because did they semi hire you or bring you into a fold?
So this was the other thing. Like I was supposed to be offered like a freelance contract, and that email never came either.
Okay.
So again, I'm like, well, why did you start editing the work?
Yeah.
None of it made any sense. And so I was like, okay, like this is weird.
Right.
This is very weird.
So this is what I will tell you from as I look at this thing, right? Because behavior is behavior no matter what lens is in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever platform. So it sounds like there was a emotional immaturity in that space. And it doesn't matter if it's corporate, if it's business, if it's a friendship, it's family. When someone ghosts you, they lack the words to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know what to say to her. I can't say it.
Which which is just I put this on Twitter. I was like, ghosting someone is the worst thing you can do to someone who thrives and lives off of communication.
Mhm.
There's nothing worse that you can do. You could yell at them, you could scream them, you could like verbally abuse them, you could physically abuse them, but at least they know because you're communicating. But to just leave them in a dark corner in a dark room is uh, I don't even know what you do with that.
It's mental torture.
It fully
It's mental
fucking
torture.
was. It was nothing but torture. That is the way to describe this week. It was torturous.
Right. So now, right, and this is what I'm learning to do. And it's funny that we're dealing with this. It's just I dealt with a family relationship type of ghosting, whereas you dealt with another type of ghosting. And people in my life deal with ghosting too. And it's just like it hurts. So that's
Mhm.
another thing. It's like we're tapping into, okay, well, How does that feel? And then a myriad of emotions come, and then all the expletives come too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're left to our own thoughts.
Yes.
We have to surmise and guess and what are they thinking? Why did they do that? What's wrong with me?
Right. Yes.
And a lot of times we actually put ourselves down or make it about us, when truly 100% of the time, and I'm just going to straight up say 100% of the time, it's not about us. Why somebody ghosted us.
How do you reconcile that when you're in the middle of it? How do you automatically go to like, okay, this has nothing to do with me, when it feels like 100% of it has to do with you?
Yeah, that's the weirdest. That's a conundrum. And I think it's because over the years we've done that, right? And it's because people don't want to own their stuff. And so because they don't own their stuff, we get blamed. Like the
Yeah.
blame is passed on. So we are going to take it. And
Yeah.
that's what happened. You took it instead of looking at what you would do. If it was flipped, what would you do? Would you go somebody?
Oh God, no, I would never do this to somebody. And I
Right.
think because that is like my love language, my apology language is like owning up to things
Right.
and actually verbally communicating with people is like everything to me. I would
Yeah.
never do this to anyone,
Right.
but everybody's not like me.
And that's the conclusion you have to come to.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
all we have.
Right.
And going down a rabbit hole, because all these thoughts that we have, all the thoughts that I had it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thought that I had to come up to help me feel better is that one, well, in your particular situation, it doesn't even matter anymore. You're over it, right? But when it's a family member, it's like when they want to come back around, they will. Meanwhile, I'm getting
Right.
something else, and I'm gonna go on and not even focus on it. I'm gonna wish them well and keep it pushing. That's all
Mm-hmm.
you have, right?
Right.
With these people, you can do that too, as far as to say, I wish them well.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they come around and figure out that that's not cool. Or you can write them a letter if that's what you want. Like you can say something if you care enough. But
There's the thing is like, do you care anymore? Can
right.
you care anymore? Are you distributing out like care that you could be putting to something else? Like, so yeah, I don't know how I feel. I know that I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So that's why I was like, okay, it's fine. Let's just do the things that I want to do. And another thing that was like the theme of this week that I kept saying over and over is like other people, particularly Black women this week in different platforms, formats, were talking about being forced to fit in and not doing it anymore. Just having like this reconciliation with like, I cannot be palatable for you. You're going to constantly tell me that I don't say the right thing, or my tone isn't the way that you would like it to be, or that I don't fit with whatever thought processes this particular outlet is on, or you're not aligned with everyone. And it's like, you can't. Like, the more I was trying to fit in and the more I see the Black women that I was following that were trying to fit in, it was hurting. Because once you're like shoved in somebody else's box that you absolutely have no business being in, you don't fit in that box.
Yeah.
Now you've got like a broken leg and a twisted neck, and it's a mess.
Right. And just imagine what your insides are like. If
It's
the outside is like that, imagine what the inside over time.
a mess, a whole entire mess, because I've lived that life of like work causing physical harm. I've already done that. I don't ever want to do that again, ever.
Exactly.
Like, I've already done all the work caused me to gain 63 pounds in like 4 months. I've already done that. Like, I'm 40. I am not doing that anymore.
Right. Well, good for you. And I hope for all the women out here or out there who recognize that they're trying to fit in as well or want to be accepted, recognize we have to accept ourselves and whatever that means.
Yeah.
Because if we continue to try to fit ourselves in a box, finding out and knowing probably even before we try to fit ourselves in a box that we don't belong, if we continue to do that, understand there's a consequence to that. And it always will be.
And I just wasn't willing to like keep going down that path of like trying to figure out what the consequences were going to be again, because I've already seen how bad they were.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like at the end of the day, all this whole roller coaster that was January up to February 3rd has made me accept myself a lot more.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling someone, a writer for the Griot. I was telling her that like I've been in therapy. I jumped back into therapy with you after moving away and going to therapy with someone else. And I was like, I thought I did all the work. I thought I did enough work that I like could apply everything and just be fine and everything would be all right and I could make it to the next session. And I was like, I am not. The work never stops, apparently, because good grief.
No, and therapy is everywhere, right? Like you can tap into it, right? So I do my own therapy, right? So I think it's necessary, period, right? To me, I think we're never finished.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an ongoing process. And I love how Michelle Obama has, her book called Becoming. Like, I think we're constantly becoming, like constantly growing. And therapy is a part of it, or coaching, or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's an intellectual conversation that you have with someone to bounce your ideas off with them so that one, you realize that you're not losing your mind. Right.
Yeah.
That's why I think therapy is ongoing, because again, if we're left to our own demise, our thinking would be our demise, because our thinking usually becomes negative, and that comes from programming.
Yeah.
Right. We have to walk against the grain or go against the grain to think better of ourselves. So,
okay. I got to write that one down because that was it. That was it. Because everything else is like bad, 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 not good, not good, not enough, fit here, fit there. If you're going the opposite of it, it's hard though.
Well, it can be, right? Like, so I don't even say anymore something that's hard, because when I think of something that's hard, who wants to do something hard? I don't know anybody that wants to do something that's hard to do. They want to take an easier route, right? But if you think about it as difficult, or if it's a challenge, that becomes something that I can do that, right?
Right.
And so if you want a better outcome, you do have to turn around. We have to turn around in our thinking, which if the opposite, if we don't, it's like, we're going to keep getting what we got, or we've always been getting.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to do that anymore. I think the other thing is like, how many lessons do you need before you're like, come on now, learn.
Yeah. But I think too, just how you've been able to make it this week. And I don't like to compare myself with other people, but if we did, I would see you as overcoming.
I'll give myself that. I'll agree to that I was able to overcome a lot of, I won't call them demons. I have to come up with a better word than that, but there was a lot of, let's just be done. Let's not deal with this anymore, physically, metaphysically, all the different ways that you could say it. It just, I was ready to tap out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Because look at now, like we're even having a conversation now, which I think is so lovely. If you were under that, we wouldn't be in this. You would probably cancel. Something would have happened that we wouldn't be in the space.
And there was a point at probably, I would probably say around Wednesday, I was like, I can't do anything. Like I just could not even put clothes on. I just couldn't do anything. I was like stuck in the same spot on my couch.
Right.
I did enough to get out of bed, but I was just like, I'm
Right.
gonna make it to the couch.
Right.
That's
But
what
the
I'm gonna do.
question is, how did you get here today though? Because
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too, when people hear this, we look at, okay, we just push through, but I think it's more to it than that.
Yeah, it was a lot more than that. I really had to have a lot of conversations with myself, more so than like just pushing through. And I pulled from all my little resources. So like as toxic as it can be, TikTok has a special place in my heart. There are so many positive people on TikTok who just get on TikTok to tell you that they love you and that you need to love you. And so thank God my algorithm is like keyed to that, because I was able to see other people. And then of course we all know I have the garden. So I spent a lot of days, a lot of very cold days in the garden, in the greenhouse, in the compost pile, just doing anything to like keep myself busy, because the longer I was sitting on the couch, the worse I was getting. So it was like a lot of choices I was making. I was making choices to like, I don't have to sit here. They're not going to call you, just move on. They're not going to call you, just move on. I would check my email every so often. I would go back on the Google Doc every so often. But I just came to a point, I was like, okay, go do whatever. Okay, go put those peas that have sprouted, go put them in the pot, or go cover up whatever because it's going to rain. Like I was just like making up activities. I literally, the
That's so
TikTok videos I made in the hashtags, I literally said I'm making up activities.
but that's so huge. But it makes a difference too, right?
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Right. Right.
I know for a fact if I had not been on TikTok, found gardening, figured out that I needed to start growing my own food, which has healed me physically also. Like my health was deteriorating in this whole process in the last year and some change. Knock on wood, have not gotten COVID. So it's not due to COVID, but it was everything else. But had I not figured out that like, don't give up after the first tray of seedlings didn't work, because I almost did. I definitely would not have this huge greenhouse or any of these containers. I wouldn't have any of this because I was going to tap out. I did all these house plants. They all died. All of them died except for like 3. And then it got to winter and like the rest of them were like, we don't know if we're going to make it either. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to grow food, just because I was watching people on TikTok, watching people on Instagram. And when my house plants killed my outdoor plants, yes, they killed all something called root rot. It's actually airborne. It was a mess. It was a whole thing. It was dramatic.
That's probably what's happening to my plants. I'm glad we're talking, because I want to talk to you about how to save my plants, because something is going on.
Oh, all the sights and sounds, all the instructions are on TikTok. But yeah, my house plants gave my seedlings that were in another room, gave them root rot. So all the seedlings died, whole tray. It was like 36 different things that I was trying to start. And I was like, I don't think I can do this.
So something that they transmitted in the air. Your house plants was hating on the seedlings?
Yes. My house plants were like, you don't need those. You need us. So yeah, it was a mess. It was a total mess. I mean, and then it was a lot of money because of course I didn't know what I was doing or how to do it the cheap way. I was just like, well, you just do this. This seems like what everybody was doing. And so I was like, oh my God. So I took like 2 weeks to recover, because again, I never just snapped back, and started over. And once I started over, it created a monster, because I was like, I need more.
Right. And you see how it shifted your whole being?
Yeah. Yeah. It became a place of peace and solace, because I was like, I hate this for a minute. And when things weren't growing, I was like, what is the problem? And but it was a lot of lessons in like, I don't have patience for stuff.
Mhm.
I don't realize that I don't have patience until I'm like, can you just hurry up?
Mhm.
But I feel like, yeah, that was a part of it this week of my recovery and like reconciling, I guess. It was like, just go out there, make up something
Yeah.
and record it because you're going to need documentation that like you were able to do this.
And that in itself does wonders for us, especially when we can listen, right? You
Yeah.
at some point you listen to yourself to shift and pivot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're able to do something different that brought you some joy or it brought you a challenge, right? Because that was hard for
Yeah.
somebody else to look at and say, oh, I wouldn't do that. But it was a challenge and you overcame that challenge. And what it also did is it kept you from looking at this hurt that somebody, I don't know, intentionally or maybe unintentionally superimposed on you by not following up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's out the window. And now you're on to something else.
Is this the right way to go about this? I mean, I know there's not necessarily always the right answer or the right way of doing things, but it is from your standpoint of someone that coaches people, that gives therapy, that does all these things. Is this, am I taking steps that are more helpful than harmful?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
harmful is staying on that couch, looking at
Mm,
your computer, trying to check and see if they did it, getting more upset because you don't know what they're doing and why they didn't respond to you. Calling, you could have kept calling. You could have gone down a whole rabbit hole.
mhm.
TikTok, you could have spread a whole bunch of horrible messages about how you felt. And what people don't recognize is when you're angry like that and you go on a rampage, that is seeds that you're planting. You talk about seeds. You're
Mm,
planting those kind of seeds of hurt, anger, sadness, frustration, bitterness, all those things, and people are tapping into that. Oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh yeah,
mhm.
and that, I hate when that happens. So that's a whole bunch of
Yeah.
stuff. So what you did was very helpful because you helped yourself. It changed your mood. It changed your outlook. You're like, they can kick rocks now, basically. There's a better feeling that you have.
Yeah. I guess too, because I wake up every morning and I say a couple of things. I'm grateful that I'm awake
Mhm.
and do no harm.
Exactly.
And I used to say, don't do other harm to other people. But in
Mhm.
the last couple of weeks, I've been saying, don't do any harm to myself either.
Right.
So don't create any like nonsense for yourself, but
Mhm.
also don't hurt anybody else. And so I think that's why I don't, because I could have gone on a long and treacherous tirade of like a lot of things,
Mhm.
but I just don't have it in me because I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, cool. We don't have to be together. Because again, like I said, I can take rejection, but I need you to reject me and then go over there. Whatever happens for you, happens for you. Even if you were harmful to me and you were terrible to me, there are people in this world that were very, very terrible to me, and they know who they are, and they will always know who they are. They have admitted to other people that they were terrible to me.
Mhm.
But whatever happens to them, happens to them. I
Mhm.
literally don't care.
Right.
But at least we both know that you were terrible to me, or we both communicated that like we don't need to be around each other. It was a lot of just like, again, dark room, dark corner that sent me way down this week.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just don't have it in me to be hateful to people because I don't care enough.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
it's very weird.
Well, what's interesting that you mentioned something about you can reject me, but reject me and go over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't get to tell people how to reject us, right?
Mm-mm.
They're gonna do whatever they do. I think, like you said, it's up to us to do no harm. And I love how you said do no harm, period. Like that goes for do no harm to yourself or do no harm to anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're gonna be people who are hurt, who will hurt you. And that's because they're hurting. And I think that's the other thing we don't think about. Anything that somebody does to you, they've already done it to themselves. Nobody talks about that.
No.
So, but you're not that way. That's just because you're different. And there are a lot of people who are like you, which is a blessing. But then there are also other people who are very harmful. And sometimes they know they're harmful and sometimes they don't.
Yeah. And I know that like I can be harmful, but it's like I intentionally set out every day to not be harmful.
Mhm.
Now, I think this kind of goes with like you making me read 4 Agreements so long ago that it stuck with me to do your best.
Yeah.
That like that is, I'm constantly just trying, I'll say whatever I say and do whatever I do. I'm not responsible for other people's feelings, but my intention in everything is to just not be harmful.
Right.
Don't be hateful. Don't be harmful. I don't have to agree with anyone, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I just didn't want to go on a tirade. I felt like I internalized it more than I wanted to externalize it, which is the hard part because then it's like I'm putting everything on me and it really isn't me.
Right. That part right there.
Yeah.
That is it. So when we wrap rejection up in a bow, right? It's up to us to accept the rejection or recognize that someone is rejecting me and that I get to choose to notice it without stepping into that rejection.
Yes. So I guess maybe that's what it is when I say like you can reject me and then go over there. It's like I don't want to stay in the same spot. I don't want to stay around you. You don't need to stay around me. We're now rejected, right? So let's repel. Let's be apart. It's what is the thing where it's like you can't heal where you've been harmed.
Interesting.
Like you can't stay in the toxic waste dump if you already fell in there and like think that you're going to get better. Like it's not going to work. You have to get out of it. You have to wash off.
That's huge. Yes. As I think about what you're saying, that's true. You can't heal. In that.
You're going to like keep getting re-hurt again and again and again. Right. You might as well like get out of it, clean off, like go start your day somewhere else.
That is so. So where are you today? Because life is different now.
Today I just am like going down my list of things of like, let's just try it. I'm the queen of fuck it, let's try it. So I have like multiple videos that I've done this week of like, no, let's just do it. I don't even care at this point. I think because I spent a lot of time trying to make sure that I did things right. I spent so much time. We have to unpack this in like a whole nother episode. I was the practice, then go do the thing because I just needed it to be right the first time. So for anything to go wrong to me is devastating because it's like, I've practiced.
Right.
I've already worked out all the kinks.
Right.
Why is anything going wrong? So like, I'm learning how to fail, which is very strange. So yeah, we have to unpack this on like a whole nother episode. Yeah, there are things I want to pick your brain about with that.
Oh yeah, because even the word fail, like I have an aversion to certain words, right?
Oh, okay. So you had an aversion to the word hard.
Okay. Fail, should.
Oh, should?
Oh yeah, should doesn't even exist.
Oh Lord. Okay. All right. We are coming back to that. We are definitely coming. You got to make a list of all your aversion words and just pick one off a day because what should? That's interesting. I'm going to be thinking about this.
Yeah. Because, when people say you should do this and you should do that, well, guess what? If they shoulda, then they what?
They woulda.
Yeah, but you can't ever woulda, and you can't ever coulda. It's impossible.
Well, damn, Lori, damn. Oh man. Well, all right. Well, I think we should just call it right here. This was interesting. For our first go around, this is pretty good.
Yeah, this is fun. I enjoyed this. This is going to be great. That's it for this week's show. I'm Lori Scott.
I'm Sylvia Johnson, and you've been listening to What's Been Better.
A big thank you to Lagan Music Inc. for providing our music. This show is edited and produced by us with a little help from our family and friends. We love you all.
Want to talk to us about the show? Send us an email at questions@whatsbeenbetter.com or hit us up on Instagram at whatsbeenbetterpodcast.
Thanks for listening.